It was a cold December evening in Houston, Texas, and the streets were buzzing with holiday shoppers. The city was alive with festive lights, cheerful music pouring from store speakers, and the scent of cinnamon and roasted nuts in the air. Keanu Reeves, a globally renowned actor and philanthropist, had no particular interest in the holiday rush. He saw Christmas as an over-commercialized spectacle, a season that disrupted his otherwise structured and reflective life. Unlike others who took time off to spend with family, Keanu spent the last week of the year reviewing scripts, planning charitable initiatives, and ensuring his foundation continued to support those in need. To him, success meant making a difference, and that mission never paused for Christmas. That evening, Keanu had stopped by a Walmart near Westheimer Road, a rare detour from his usual routine. He disliked large retail stores, preferring the simplicity of online shopping or small, local shops where he could connect with people. But his assistant had forgotten to order a few household essentials, and rather than delegating the task, he decided to make a quick stop himself. It was supposed to be an in-and-out trip. Pick up what he needed, swipe his card, and get back to his world of film sets and charity events. As he walked through the brightly lit aisles, he noticed a contrast between himself and the people around him. Mothers with children in oversized jackets searched for affordable groceries. Elderly couples compared prices on canned goods, and exhausted workers in worn-out uniforms picked up last-minute essentials before heading home. He didn't belong in this world. His world was one of red carpets, film premieres, and quiet moments of reflection. But then, amidst the crowd, something caught his attention. Near the toy section, a small boy, no older than 7 or 8, stood frozen in front of a shelf filled with stuffed animals. His tiny hands were clenched into fists, his lips trembling as he stared at a particular toy, a small brown teddy bear with a red bow. His face, streaked with silent tears, told a story without words. He wasn't throwing a tantrum like some kids who cried when their parents refused to buy them something. His pain was different, deeper, raw. It was a kind of sadness that made even strangers stop and wonder what could be so wrong. Keanu wasn't the type to ignore someone in need. He believed in kindness and the power of small gestures. His entire life was built on the philosophy that even the smallest act of compassion could change someone's day, or even their life. Something about this boy unsettled him. Perhaps it was a familiarity of that sorrow, an echo of a childhood he had buried deep under years of fame and success. He hesitated. Then, before he could overthink it, he approached the boy. "Hey, buddy," he said, keeping his voice soft and gentle. "You okay?" The boy wiped his face quickly, as if embarrassed to be seen crying. He nodded but said nothing. Keanu glanced at the teddy bear the boy had been staring at. "You like that one?" he asked. The child hesitated before nodding again. "Christmas gift?" Keanu asked. The boy swallowed hard before whispering, "For my little sister. It's her birthday tomorrow." His voice was so soft Keanu had to lean in to hear him. Keanu glanced at the price tag, $14.99. Hardly anything for him, but perhaps too much for the boy. "Where's your mom or dad?" he asked. The boy's small fingers gripped the edge of his oversized coat. "Mom's at home. She's sick. I just came to see if maybe I could get it." Something about the way he said it, the way he already knew the answer was no, made Keanu's chest tighten. He was no stranger to the struggle of not having enough. As a child, he had watched his family work tirelessly just to keep food on the table. He had known the embarrassment of wearing the same worn-out shoes for years, the pain of going to bed hungry because there was no dinner that night. But unlike this boy, he had never been the type to cry. He had been determined, resilient. He had promised himself he would use his success to help others, and he had done exactly that. But standing here, looking at this child who reminded him of the boy he used to be, something shifted inside him. Keanu cleared his throat. "How about this? I buy the teddy bear for your sister. You can wrap it and give it to her tomorrow." The boy's eyes widened with hope, but then, just as quickly, he shook his head. "No, sir. I can't take money from strangers." Keanu was taken aback. In a world where people often sought him out for his fame or wealth, this child was refusing an act of kindness. It was a kind of dignity that was rare, even in adults. "I understand," Keanu said, crouching down to meet the boy's gaze. "But it's not charity. Think of it as an early Christmas gift. And maybe, when you grow up, you'll do something nice for someone else. The boy hesitated, then finally, slowly nodded. Okay. Keanu picked up the teddy bear and walked with the boy to the register. As they waited in line, he noticed how the child's shoes were too small, how his coat barely fit him. It wasn't just a toy he needed. His entire life was a struggle, expanded interaction, and emotional depth. As they stepped outside into the cold air, Keanu realized he wasn't done. He couldn't just hand the boy the teddy bear and walk away. He needed to know more. He needed to understand why. In one of the richest cities in America, a child was out alone on a winter night, hoping to buy a toy he knew he couldn't afford. Where do you live? Keanu asked gently. The boy hesitated, but then pointed down the street. Not far. Over there, in the apartment behind the gas station. Keanu had driven past those apartments before. They were the kind where the paint peeled off the walls, where the rent was cheap but came with leaking ceilings and broken heating. He had lived in places like that once. Can I walk you home? Keanu asked. The boy hesitated, then nodded again. As they started walking, Keanu had no idea that this small moment, this random encounter in a Walmart, was about to change his life forever. The boy's home and Keanu's realization. The boy, who introduced himself as Noah, led Keanu to a rundown apartment complex. The building was old, with flickering porch lights and the sound of a baby crying echoing from an open window. Noah's apartment was on the second floor, and as they climbed the narrow staircase, Keanu noticed how the boy's breath came out in small puffs of cold air. His coat was far too thin for the weather. Noah pushed open the door to reveal a small, cramped space. The apartment was a single room that served as both a living area and a bedroom. A small kitchenette sat in the corner, the sink piled with dishes. The air smelled faintly of soup, but it was clear there hadn't been much cooking done recently. A thin mattress lay against one wall, covered with a patchy blanket, and next to it sat a little girl with wide brown eyes, her curly hair falling into her face as she played with a broken doll. Lily, Noah said, his voice lighter now. Look what I got for you. The little girl's face lit up with pure joy as she dropped the doll and reached for the teddy bear. For me? She gasped. Noah nodded. Yeah, it's your birthday gift. Lily hugged the bear tightly, her tiny fingers gripping it as if she never wanted to let go. Keanu stood by the door, watching the scene unfold, feeling something stir deep inside him. He had closed himself off to emotions for years, convinced that survival meant focusing only on the things he could control: money, business, success. But there was something about the way this little girl looked at the teddy bear, as if it was the most precious thing in the world, that made him question everything. Just then, a soft voice interrupted his thoughts. Noah. A woman, thin and pale, emerged from behind a curtain that separated the small living space from what seemed to be a bathroom. She looked weak, her face drawn with fatigue, but her eyes were sharp, assessing Keanu immediately. Who is this? She asked, her voice cautious. Noah stepped forward. Mom, this is Mr. Keanu. He helped me. Keanu nodded politely. I ran into Noah at the store. He told me it was his sister's birthday, so I helped him get the teddy bear. The woman's posture softened slightly, though there was still weariness in her eyes. She stepped forward, extending a shaky hand. I'm Rachel. Thank you for helping my son, but we don't take charity. Keanu shook her hand gently. It wasn't charity, just a small gift for Lily. Rachel studied him for a moment before glancing at Noah. Her eyes softened as she placed a hand on his shoulder. Noah, you didn't have to go out in the cold for that, she murmured, brushing his hair back. Noah lowered his gaze. I just wanted her to have something nice, Mom. Rachel sighed, then turned to Keanu. I don't know what he told you, but we're managing. Keanu wasn't sure how to respond. He looked around the small apartment again. The lack of furniture, the empty cupboards he could see through the open kitchen cabinets, the tired slump of her shoulders. She was trying to be strong, to keep her pride intact, but the truth was written in every corner of this home. They were barely getting by. Where do you work? He asked gently. Rachel hesitated before answering. I used to clean houses, but I got sick a few months ago, and I haven't been able to work. I'm getting better, though, just a little longer, and I'll find something again. Keanu nodded, understanding more than she realized. He knew what it was like to watch a parent struggle, to see them put on a brave face while the world crashed around them. His mother had been the same way, never letting him see how much he suffered, even when there was nothing left in the fridge. "Is there anything I can do to help?" he asked, and he meant it. Rachel shook her head. "We'll be fine. We always are." Keanu admired her resilience, but something inside him wouldn't let this go. He had spent his life building wealth, climbing higher and higher on the ladder of success. But what good was all of it if he couldn't use it to help someone who genuinely needed it? He reached into his wallet and pulled out a business card. "If you ever need anything, work, groceries, help with medical bills, just call me. No pressure, no expectations, just an offer." Rachel hesitated before taking the card. She glanced at it, then at him, as if trying to figure out what kind of man he was. Finally, she gave a small nod. "Thank you." Keanu nodded back and turned to Noah. "Take care of your mom and sister, okay?" Noah stood a little straighter. "I will." As Keanu stepped outside, the cold air hit him again, but this time it didn't feel the same. Something had shifted inside him. He had gone into that Walmart expecting nothing more than a quick errand. Yet somehow he had walked out with a new perspective on life. He didn't know what came next, but for the first time in years, he felt like he had found something more important than success.